Back in 1987, a government worker moved his family into a cheap rental in Chicago. Within weeks, his children were talking to someone who wasn't there. His wife was attacked in her sleep, and one night, a woman appeared floating outside their window and told him to leave or die. This is the true story of the house no one stayed in. In 1987, Mike's job officially transferred him to Chicago. His oldest son, Ethan, was 4. The younger one, Noah, was just 2. Mike thought the city would be better for schools, better for life in general. They found a small place in an old neighborhood on the south side. The room was cramped, but the rent was ridiculously low. Another reason Mike agreed was because Laura's cousin lived just around the corner, so it felt safe enough. The cousin warned him, people don't usually stay there long. Mike brushed it off. Cheap rent talks louder than warnings. Something felt off. The house had a weird layout. Downstairs was an open yard with a few old metal beds sitting around under big oak trees. The landlord and his wife lived on one side. On the other side was a locked room that supposedly belonged to their son who lived overseas. Upstairs was a long hallway with 2 rooms. One was always locked. The other was theirs. No proper kitchen, no bathroom upstairs. Laura had to go downstairs every time. From day one, Laura said the place felt wrong. Not old house wrong, more like someone was watching her. Mike told her she was just tired from moving. One evening, while Laura was cooking near the doorway, she saw a shadow move across the curtain, like someone had just walked past the room. She stepped out into the hallway. Nothing. Dead quiet. But she could swear someone had gone into the locked room next door. When Mike got home late that night, he laughed it off. The kids started seeing things. The next day, Laura went downstairs to do laundry and left Ethan watching Noah upstairs. A few minutes later, Ethan came running down, screaming his head off. He said, "Mom, there's a lady in the room." Laura ran upstairs and found Noah sitting on the bed laughing, like someone was playing with him, but no one was there. Laura grabbed both kids and went straight downstairs. When she asked the landlady if anyone ever stayed upstairs, the woman wouldn't even look at her. "Kids imagine stuff," she said. That night, Laura barely slept. It got worse. Over the next few days, things escalated fast. Laura felt the blanket get pulled off her while she was asleep. Knocking came from a window that faced a narrow alley. No way anyone could reach it. One night, something growled from outside the window. Not a voice, a growl. Ethan started crying non-stop, saying, "He's coming back. He wants us." The fall. On Sunday morning, Mike was home. Laura was making breakfast when Ethan suddenly fell off the bed. He screamed, "Mom, you pushed me." Before she could even react, Laura heard a woman whisper right next to her ear, "Get out, or everyone dies." Laura grabbed Ethan and ran for the stairs, but something shoved her from behind. They both went down hard. Ethan hit his head and started bleeding. Mike blamed Laura at first, until later that night. Mike saw her too. That evening, Mike stayed alone in the room, writing letters near the window. Then came the knocking again. He yanked the curtain aside and froze. A young woman was floating outside the window. Her hair covered part of her face. Her eyes were wide and furious. She stared straight at him and said, "Leave now, or you won't leave alive." Mike didn't pack. He didn't argue. He locked the door and ran. The truth came out. The next day, they moved out for good. No arguments, no second chances. Later, neighbors told them what really happened. Years earlier, the landlord's 23-year-old daughter, Emily, had lived in the locked room. She'd fallen in love. Her parents refused to let her marry. Eventually, she took her own life in that room. The family barely acknowledged it. No proper goodbye, no closure. Since then, people kept leaving. One teenage boy had even fallen off the roof, later saying someone pushed him. He didn't survive. For years, Mike refused to talk about the house. When people asked why they left Chicago so suddenly, he said the transfer didn't work out. Laura stayed quiet. The boys were too young to explain what they remembered, only that Ethan screamed in his sleep for months afterward, always pointing at the corner of his room like someone was standing there. Noah grew up saying he didn't remember the house at all, until one night, years later, he woke up crying and told Laura he dreamed of a woman standing in a long hallway, brushing her hair slowly over and over again. He said she kept asking him why they didn't come back. Laura never told him about the locked room. She never told him about Emily. Years passed, life moved on, but Mike never slept well again. Sometimes Laura would wake up and find him standing at the window, staring into the dark like he was waiting for something to appear. When she asked him what he was doing, he'd say he thought he heard knocking. There was never any knocking. Nearly 20 years later, Mike had to travel to Chicago for work. He didn't plan to visit the old neighborhood, he just missed an exit. The house was still there. Same shape, same upstairs window, same dead feeling in the yard. The oak trees were bigger now, their branches hanging low like they were guarding something underneath them. The upstairs window, the one from the locked room, was open. Mike pulled over without thinking. He didn't get out of the car, he just sat there, staring. That's when he noticed the metal bed frame beneath the tree. It had been stood upright, leaning against the trunk like someone had placed it there on purpose. If you found this story compelling, consider liking, sharing, and following for more documented horror accounts.